Hello React Native developers, welcome to Can It Be Done in React Native. In this episode, we uncover all the secrets of an award-winning app written in React Native. Guys, I hope you are well. William here, recording from beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. In this week's episode, we are looking at the Philz coffee app, and more specifically, this nice horizontal as well as vertical scroll view. This app won a design award in 2018 and was heavily featured on the WWDC Apple keynote in 2018 as well. And the app also happens to be done in React Native, which is pretty cool. And what I really like, super delightful user experience. And what I really like about this app, you see that you can build these delightful user experiences with really simple primitives, right? Just some nice colors, nice pictures, great font, and minimal effects. And if it works great, you won, basically. So how would we do this in React Native? There are two parts to this problem: the horizontal view here, scroll view, and then the vertical scroll view here, and then so you snap from the top to the horizontal view, and once if you snapped to the vertical view, you can have some free scrolling. Then you go to the top. So let's talk about the vertical scrolling first. Before we talk how we would do it in React Native, let's talk about how I think they did it in React Native. I think they used custom pan responder. And the reason I believe that this is the case is because you see here I'm scrolling and I'm still keeping the gesture active and I cannot go up, which makes me believe that there is a pan gesture. There is a pan responder that didn't get granted the touch event. And here I can swipe. And I also was able to break the user experience by trying some edge cases, which seems to be consistent with the use of the pan gesture, pan responder. And also typical, what is to me feels typical like a custom pan responder is that here, if I swipe up, it doesn't matter if I release the gesture in one direction or the other, or if I have some velocity. If I release, it will swipe up. No matter, like I could swipe, and now I try to swipe down like crazy, it doesn't matter, it's going to go up. Which also feels like typical pan responder where maybe, we just wrote things like this. But so how we would do it in React Native, there are two ways to do it. One, which is very simple, is to use a scroll view to have the snap to offset, so to the top here, to this position. And then we can set snap to end to false in order that from this snap point to the end of the scroll view, we can have some free scrolling. And the React Native implementation of scroll view mentions this potential free scrolling between offset, which is very cool. We would have a fast deceleration rate, so it snaps to this exact speed between these two snap points. This means the drawback is that now when doing the free scrolling, if we have a fast deceleration rate, we will have a fast deceleration rate as well. But this has the benefit of being extremely simple, because the alternative would be to build a custom pan gesture. And then we have the horizontal scroll view. So we're going to use an horizontal scroll view here for the cards and interpolate the colors of the background depending on the position, on the X position of the scroll view. And we're going to use reanimated to do that. And then we are going to overlay the pictures on top of each card and translate their positions as well as their scale, depending on the position of the screen. So overall, something not so complicated. We're only going to use scroll views, bind one animation value to the scroll view to interpolate the whole user experience, but a very efficient and delightful user experience. So pretty inspiring. But what do you guys think? Can it be done in React Native? Let's have a look. Before we get started, one thing, if you are interested to learn the fundamentals of gestures and animations in React Native, I hope that you will check out my online course at startreactnative.dev. My goal with this course is to provide you with all the tools and knowledge necessary in order to build incredible user experiences that will run at 60 FPS, even on low-end devices. So if you're interested to learn the fundamentals, I hope that you will check it out at startreactnative.dev. I am also putting other resources part of this membership, such as the React Native Fashion UI kit and access to the private Can It Be Done in React Native repo. All right, here is our boilerplate project, which you can download from the video description in case you want to code along with this example. And we have our two nested scroll views. So the vertical one here and the horizontal one that you see here. And in the horizontal scroll view, we map on a list of products. So I have some products here, some text, foreground color, background color, the image that you see in the middle. And so we have the card component, which simply is this content that you see here. And then we overlay on top of this scroll view the products. And you see here we have pointer event none, so that our overlay doesn't catch any touches. And we map again on the list of products to show here these images in the middle. And we're going to use an animation value to animate them properly. And let's start first by getting our scroll views sorted. And here we're going to add a snap to interval, so that you see we cannot, it always snap to the one card. So we're going to add snap to interval with the width of the screen. So now it's actually working already, but you see the decay is very slow. So we can add deceleration rate fast. So it snaps, much faster. So now it snaps nicely as expected. And now let's do the vertical scroll view. So we know that we want to snap at 0 or at card height, which we have here. So that's the height of the slider. And then to have free scrolling when we check these vertical cards. So we're not going to use snap to interval, but snap to offset because we have different values. So we're going to have snap to offset. So I can write it here. We have 0, the top, card height, right? Which is the slider is at the top. And then, so it doesn't, to offsets maybe. Seems to be better. So here it snaps, here it snaps again, I think, yes. And we don't have free scrolling to the bottom. So first thing we can do is to add deceleration rate again, so that when it snaps nicely like this. Then the downside of this approach is that when we do, so now it snaps super fast to the bottom. And to avoid this, we can say there's a property, I think it's called snap to end equals false. So the end of the scroll view is not a snap point. So now here you see we have free scrolling. And so the downside of this approach is that because we have deceleration rate fast, when we do the free scrolling, the momentum is a bit shorter than usual. So it's not the default momentum of the scroll view. But then we have a nice snapping from these cards here and the top, and here we also snap the cards. So now let's animate the background color. And so this means we're going to start to listen to the X scroll value for our horizontal scroll view. So let's create our animation value. Translate X is use shared value of 0. And let's add a non-scroll event to our horizontal scroll view. So this becomes an animated scroll view. We want to catch the X value for every frame, so we're going to add scroll event throttle to be 16. Animated comes from React Native reanimated, that's correct. And we're going to add the unscrolled event. So unscroll, we have a hook from reanimated 2 to do it, and that would be use animated scroll handler. And then we're going to capture the unscroll event, bind the scroll X value to translate X. And so in the event, we have content offset. We're going to capture the X value and bind it to translate X. And so let's try if we capture this value properly by interpolating the background color. So this container here becomes an animated view, and we're going to animate the background color of this view. So this is an animated view, and we're going to bind an animated style to it. So use animated style from reanimated 2. So we have our flex 1 here, and we can add background color, and we're going to interpolate colors from redash based on translate X. So translate X.value. So the input range, so we have our list of products, and each card is taking the width of the screen, so we can do, so we have the index, we can do width times index, so we will have 0 width, 2 width, 3 widths, and so on. So these are our indexes, and then the colors, again, we map through the products list. You see, perfect, and here, so we have product, and it's going to be product.color2. So let's, from reanimated, no, I want from redash. This one should be good. And so we're going to import interpolate colors from React Native redash. It's interpolate color. Up. Okay. So you see, now we have the background color and interpolates nicely. Isn't that cool? So we already have some of the feel-good vibe. And at the end, you see, I mean, these are very simple primitives, and it's all about having a nice font, having nice colors, having a nice pictures, and you get a award-winning user experience. You see, sometimes it's the simplest things, but done very well, that have the biggest impact. So now let's take care of these products images on the top. So this is our list of products, and we are going to give X, so we can interpolate the position. So I'm going to create a new property called X. We're going to pass translate X. So here, let me do product props quickly. So we have X is an animated share value. So some of you are not using TypeScript and you're often asking me, can you do it in JavaScript? I'm doing it in JavaScript. What is happening here is that Babel parses the code, ignores the TypeScript type annotations, such as this one, and you can do the same. TypeScript is really JavaScript plus type annotations. So if you are writing JavaScript, simply ignore the type annotations, just like Babel does in such a scenario. This is JavaScript. And so we have product props. And we're going to do, so for each of these images here, we're going to translate based on the X value. So this becomes an animated view. And we're going to add an animated style to it. So use animated style, and we're going to return transform and the translate X. So let's calculate or translate X. So we interpolate on X.value. Here, okay, we can look at this error later. Okay. So now the input range is going to be in the middle. When it's in the middle, translation 0 is going to be. So we have index here with time index. And one before, one after. So the one before is with times index -1, and then so, right, it's always with times index, previous -1, next one, +1. And the proper translations, we know the middle is 0. Then we can do minus with divided by 2. And with divided by 2 here. Okay. So it is reversed because actually the X value is a scroll value, it's not a translation value. So if the scroll view translates to the left by 1 pixel, the translation is -1 pixel, but the offset is actually positive. It's always positive with the scroll view. So we just need here to write, same here, the scroll value here, let's say is 100 pixels, even though I'm translated from -100. So I just revert it here. So that works nicely, but now I can also add the scale. So let me save this as input range. And we can do scale. Same story. We go, so 1 in the middle and maybe 0.5, 0.5. And I can add it here. So it looks maybe a bit too small. Maybe 0.75. Isn't that nice? And here we have this warning because we have a hook into the map. But of course, maybe let's assume the list of product changes. So this should be stable, and it's not. So what we can do is to move everything into another component. So that would be all this. Here we would return product. Key is index. So let me do also product props. So we need the product, which is, let's do type of products in the first one in the array. We need the index, and we need the X animation value. Animated shared value. Okay. Now let's use these properties here and pass it here. So we have product equals product, index equals index, and X equals X. So now we solve the issue we can have in case the number of product changes as a side effect. And so here it is, the Philz coffee. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this example. What an efficient user interaction, award-winning user interaction, but implemented very simply, two nested scroll view working very well together. And this is where we really take advantage of the React Native scroll view, giving us a lot of things for free. And if we can use them, we should definitely use them, because these things could be actually quite complex to implement by ourselves. We bind one animation value to one of the scroll view, and we interpolate background color, scale, and translation. So I really like how sometimes these simple user interactions, if done well, can yield incredible results. And this is also thanks to the scroll view, again, being such an high-level component with so many capabilities that we can build these examples quite quickly. Speaking of delightful user interactions, in the next episode of Can It Be Done in React Native, we are going to look at a common UX pattern that used to not be doable in React Native and that is now completely a commodity. And I cannot wait for us to look at this example. So I am looking forward to talk to you soon. And until next time, happy hacking.